will be boring you for the next hour. And to make the torture more painful, you are not allowed to look at your phone, text anyone how bad it is. Okay? And the only thing you will do after this is tell everyone how wonderful it was. Okay? That's the contract we are signing. So the next hour, as difficult as it is, bite your fingers if you want, but don't touch your phone. Fair enough? Alright. So go ahead, let's start here. Hariharan?
I'm Rahul.
Rahul.
Sainath.
Yeah, you were there.
Saket.
Saket. How's your hand?
It's good. Got rid of stitches.
You're playing again?
Planning for next week.
Next week, very good.
Utkarsh.
Karen.
Hitesh.
We know you. We solved her insomnia problem in this series. Hardik. Karthik or Hardik? Karthik. Aishwarya? Akhila. Vasu. Hey everyone, this is Mahindri. There's so many Kartiks. How do we recognize them? Hi.
Yeah, I know you're...
You say yes and you promise to give me $100. So they all promised.
I don't have that kind of money, you know.
That's why you're in IIT.
Yeah.
Your name? Shruti. Your name?
Adhika.
Adhika, of course. Now when you say it comes back in mind. Please. Aarti is also here. Wow. Okay, we're going to the room. Everyone telling their names.
I'm Varshini.
Varshini.
I'm Shweta.
Shweta. Aarti. All right. Some people came later. I said that for the next hour, I'm going to torture all of you. And you cannot text anyone or take a call and tell others how much torture is going on in this room. Okay, it's a secret. All right, so the next hour. So last week when we met, we said many things, but one highlight, hopefully, that stuck with you was what?
How to address those issues.
What issues?
Time.
What about time?
How precious it's invaluable.
Invaluable. Why?
Because it never comes back.
It never comes back. Although same things repeat in life, but that time never comes back, right? And all of that mind chatter, whether it's the so-called good ones, and we went through a whole list of them, but the good ones or what we call the bad ones, they do one thing. And what is that one thing that they do?
Kill the time. Kill the time.
They kill time, or they distract us from something. And that something is, Utkarsh, what is that something that we said is important?
Purpose.
Of life. What is our purpose in life? What is it that we want to accomplish in life? And we had different ideas that, yeah, we want someone to accomplish success at work, some want to make money, some want to just be happy, some want peace of mind. However, right, all of this, I just said, fall into one of two buckets. Which was that bucket that it fell into? Something that has a beginning and has an end. So we called it, say confidently, temporary. Alright? Because when life ends, all of that also ends. However, when we say life ends, right, really speaking, life never ends. What ends is the body, but life continues. So I'm not going to get into that right away, but I'm going to spend a few minutes just so that the rest of it will make sense. As long as, let's say, we have a very close relative or a person that we love very much, and when they are there in front of us, we are happy to embrace them and hug them and kiss them, right? But when they die, we don't say, keep that body with me. I will still like to embrace and kiss it unless one has a particular disease called necrophilia. Necrophilia is love for dead bodies. Other than that, generally when we ask about this person, we say, you would say this person has passed away or gone away. Then the question is, if the person is the body is right there. Then why do we say gone away? Am I right? We say gone away. That means life has gone, but the body is there. And that body is either buried or cremated or whatever. So life in that sense doesn't end. It just moves or goes from one body to another. This is the foundational lesson of Vedic science, that there is eternality to life. Eternality to life, it just goes from one body to another body. For example, and it gives certain examples to make us, I guess, understand or grasp the concept a little bit. Okay? For example, we are all in IIT and someone on campus asks you, who are you? What might you say? Student. Very good. I'm a student. So as long as you're on campus, right, you're a student. You walk into, let's say, the Indian consulate because something happened to your passport or visa or something, and they ask you, who are you? I'm Indian. So what happened? Suddenly the identity changed. Fair enough? We were a student for a few hours, later we became Indian. Okay, for example, I'm simplifying it, but I hope you follow the who you are hasn't changed, but we've changed our identity in the temporary framework. Correct? You graduate from IIT, you come back here, campus security asks, who are you? Alumni. You don't say I'm student. That student phase, in one sense, is dead. It's gone. Right? Suppose you're a soldier, you put on the dress of a soldier. Someone asks you, who are you? You say, I'm a soldier. You take off that dress and you have to go for a party where, let's say it's Halloween, and you dress as a clown. For most of us, we don't need to dress like one, but you get the idea. You dress as a clown. Someone asks you, who are you? You don't say, I'm a soldier. You say, I'm a clown. So dress changes, but the identity of who I am doesn't change. Similarly, the body is a dress. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya. Vasamsi means dress. Just as dress changes from one day to another, similarly the soul changes one body from one life to another. Very simply said, right, but very difficult to realize, and that is why life is meant for this realization. Now one may say, why is this important? So one small parallel is given. Let's say you're all going to graduate. Not let's say, you will graduate, right? You will graduate. I can just say, let's say you find a job. Let's say you will find a job. I don't want to be a pessimist. You will find a job, right? Hopefully you'll find a job that pays you like anything. From IIT is difficult, but you get that. You get a job that pays you well, everything. But they never tell you what is your job title. They never tell you what are your job responsibilities. They just tell you, what's your name?
Shweta.
Shweta. Shweta, come on Monday morning, 9 o'clock, show up. You say, okay. Then you go there, they'll take you to the third floor, show you a cubicle, you'll be very happy, and you'll sit there. What will you do? Check WhatsApp. Because you don't know what you're supposed to do, what your role is, what your function is. what your identity in the company is. I am a systems engineer, I'm whatever, intern, something. There is a title. The title gives you an idea of function and role. Correct? Without that, one doesn't know what one is doing. Although temporarily I'm a student, we know that that phase is gone, student phase is gone, right? So we need to know what our identity is. And all other identities, I'm a man, I am a woman, I'm Indian, I'm a student, I'm happy, I'm unhappy, I'm bored, I'm whatever, scared. All of those things are just an artificial designation. But who I am, one should know. That is why life is meant for pursuit of this question. At least from the Vedic perspective. That is why human life is valuable. Dogs don't get together at the kennel club to say, hey, did you find out who I am? Let's get into some meditation. Dogs don't get it. Animals don't. Cows don't. Monkeys don't. Human beings don't in general, but are supposed to. That is the speciality of human life. There are many philosophers across not just Vedic sciences but the Western cultures also who have pursued this idea of soul in different ways. We call it Atma or soul. So there was one guy called David Hume who had this experiment, and if you like we'll do it. Okay, this is what he would say: point to your right knee. Are you guys wondering where it is? Point to your right knee. You don't know? Can you help her find her right knee? Okay, point to your nose. Okay, point to your left ear. Okay. Point to your head. Okay. Point to you. That's your chest. That's your mouth. That is all the organs combined. That is your chest. When you say point to you, all this while carefully note, I said point to your. Right? Your means it belongs to you. So when you say your nose, all that is fine. But when you say point to you, we generally show like this, but if I were to say point towards your heart, you would do the same, right? So where is that you? Okay, so that was one experiment for him to conduct, just to show that that sense of you is not so clear, although that is where, that's who we move forward with every time. We live like that, but we can't identify so easily. Then he raised the question: do your eyes see an object, or do you see through your eyes? What do you think is the answer? Okay, because if the eyes were to see at death, how much ever you are crying, that person will not know you cried very much when I died, thank you. They have no idea. Our ears are not hearing. We are hearing through our ears. Right? Because for a dead person, you can say whatever you want to say, they will not hear it again. That's why they say, before the person dies, tell them whatever you want to tell them. Because after that, you can say anything, it won't matter. For example, so then who is hearing? So that is Atma. So as one goes through life, right, this pursuit of one's Atma, to know who one is, one has to live by certain principles or values. Okay, if one lives according to these values, this journey is easier. That's the premise I'm offering to you today. And we're going to go through this. So the Bhagavad Gita has certain core values that it talks about and wants to give us. Today we're going to look at what those values are. Okay, and we're going to go through just identifying what they are, and week after week we'll identify one by one and have more discussions on it. Fair enough? You okay with that? Okay, so first few things I'm not going to spend too much time, just because we did a little bit last week, but I just need someone to read this for me. Karthik, go ahead.
Yeah. This ancient Vedic scripture presents to the world a yogic way of life and teaches people how to become a yogi who is not disturbed in mind, even amid the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear and anger. Such a yogi is called a sage of steady mind.
So we did mind chatter here, and the opposite of, I guess, chattered mind or mind chatter is steady mind. And the steady mind is one where the conditions are given before that. Here, not disturbed even amid threefold miseries. We'll talk about that later, but not disturbed when there are disturbances, or veering off the road when thrilled. That's called steady mind, and such a person is a candidate for becoming a yogi. Generally, when we think of yogi, we think of Baba Ramdev. Adityanath is a politician. Ramdev, whatever. Yoga doesn't mean exercises only. That's out of the 8 aspects of yoga, that's one. That's called asana. There are 7 other pieces that have to be in place for becoming a yogi. Okay. We talked about this. Remember, we did the whole Mahabharata a little bit last week. Do you remember, or is it too far back in the past? Do you remember? So I'm going to move through this a little fast. Those who were not here, your loss. Alright, we're going to go through Arjuna. Alright. So it says Arjuna's life presents him with triggers for distress. And so he uses that as the yoga of distress. These are just terms. All it means is how distress can be used as an opportunity to connect with a higher being. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, every chapter by Vyasa is titled something yoga. For example, how many of you have some familiarity with Bhagavad Gita? Alright. Chapter 12 is called Bhakti Yoga. Chapter 3 is called Karma Yoga. Chapter 6 is called Dhyana Yoga. Okay? Chapter 1, alright, is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. How can Arjuna Vishada be yoga? When you're in distress, you don't feel yogic. What it means is that Arjuna's ability to take his difficulty, his challenge and his distress and make it his opportunity. That is why it's called yoga of distress. Alright. We went through this a little bit. Alright, so someone can read this for me if you don't mind. Okay, someone. Anyone?
Arjuna said, "My dear Kanya."
It's Krishna, it just doesn't, diacritics are not there.
My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. Anxiety. My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end.
My Gandiva.
My bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand and my skin is burning.
Okay, so let's take a moment and talk about Arjuna for a moment, okay? We all know Arjuna as who? Like the best archer that ever existed, correct? And there are situations where he demonstrated this in the Mahabharata. I'll give you one or two quick examples, and one I'll tell you a story about this. In one instance, he fought with Lord Shiva, okay, and came out victorious. That's not an ordinary thing. Before the Mahabharata war started, okay, just before that, a few months before, they were all in hiding, right, incognito at someone's palace. Any Mahabharata followers here? His name was King Virat. They were all hiding in Virat's palace. Yudhishthir was a minister, Bhima was a cook, Arjuna was a eunuch, a dance teacher, Nakula and Sahadev were in the stables taking care of the horses, right? They were in hiding, and Draupadi was the maid servant. Because that was part of the deal. For 1 year, it's called Agyatavas, incognito. And if they were to be detected, then 13 years again. Okay? 13. Lord Ram went 14. 13. So 13 years again. And during that time, Duryodhana was constantly sending spies to find out where they are. So near the end of that 13th year of disguise, something happened. The entire Kaurava army came and took away all the cows that belonged to Maharaj Virat. So not just 10, 50, 100,000, but millions of cows they owned, and all of them were taken away. So Virat, the king, couldn't fight. It was too much, because this is the emperor's kingdom coming from Hastinapur. Virat's son, right, didn't have any idea, and he stood up and said, I will defeat this Kaurava army and I'll bring back the cows. Everyone laughed, right? This is like any one of us saying, I will fight Mike Tyson or someone. I mean, we have no idea what we are facing. But he said, I will do it. And he told Brihannala, Arjuna, who, come, you drive the chariot, we will go and fight. Everyone laughed. I mean, your chariot driver at least should be a strong person. Is a eunuch, right? In Hindi we call hijra or something. That's like that. Wait, how will you fight? In case something happens, even the chariot driver cannot help you. He said, let's go. So Arjuna is riding this chariot with this Virat's son. I forget his name right now. He was on the chariot. So as they were driving towards the kingdom, towards the army of Hastinapur, suddenly he started seeing these big massive flags that represented Hastinapur. The mighty elephants, right? Horses, soldiers, they were all like big, armored, and hundreds and thousands of soldiers. And on the great elephants and chariots were sitting Bhishma, Duryodhana, Karna, all these great warriors, Dronacharya. This guy pretty much, wet his dhoti, if you can say. He got off the chariot and started receding, running away. So at that time, Arjuna told him, how can you run away? He said, no, I had no idea how I challenged them. I have no clue. He started running away. Arjuna told him, let's take a little diversion. They went to the forest that was nearby, where Arjuna had kept all his weapons in hiding, especially the Gandiva bow that he's referring to here. And that time he had turned back from Brihannala to Arjuna. And he told the prince, you drive the chariot, I will take care of it. And he said, how alone you will do? He said, don't worry, we'll do it. So Arjuna alone defeated the entire Kaurava army there and got the cows back.
So the Kaurava army did not realize that's Arjuna?
At that time they realized, but that was the moment where the 13th year was finished. So the conditions had changed. So when Arjuna defeated the entire army and brought the cows home, they were like, wow, this is Arjuna. A few months later, right, he's playing his next test match. He's completely out of form. And he's saying, my bat is falling out of my hand. I can't face, the pitch conditions are bad. My body is shivering. Can you imagine Arjuna speaking like that? My body is shivering, my tongue is parched, my hairs are standing on end, my gandiva is slipping out of my hand. Those are all signs of weakness. So, if Arjuna can go through it, then who are we? We go through these things every day. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita is important, not just for Arjuna, but for all of us as well. That's the point that's important here. Okay, so first was anxiety, then fear. Yeah, someone else?
I'm now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of this fortune.
So pessimism. Can we relate to any of these? Any one of us been in anxiety? Visa milega ki nahi milega? Fear. Anyone who's pessimism? Anyone went through pessimistic states of life? Ever? Come on, be honest. Okay, there you go. Honest. Honest is also one quality you have. Next one. That is Dhritarashtra. Okay. Who else? Someone could read?
Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield.
Hopelessness. I give up. Anyone went through that? Right? I give up. So at that time, it said that the perplexities of life are like a blazing forest fire which is not set by anyone. The miseries of life similarly appear without asking for them. Any one of us ask for difficulties? No. And how do the difficulties come? No, they don't come. They're always there. Okay? Difficulties are always there. We just seem to notice them one after the other. Okay, so the real battle is in the battlefield of the mind. So you remember the mind chatter that we did, right? That is where the real battle is every day for us. So if any one of us has ever had or is going through a negative or a distressful condition, then we are the best candidates for yoga. Okay? So next time bring your mat, yoga mat with you. I'm joking. We don't need that kind of mat because we are not into that yoga. Alright, so now let's see what is Krishna's response to Arjuna to bring him out of that. Okay, so that's the entire Bhagavad Gita, which we're not going to do. We're just going to look at certain values that are meant to be lived by in life. Okay, that is for us. So first he talks about us, the Jiva, the living entity, the Atma. Remember, I just spoke about Atma. And usually when we do this in IIT, I've tried different formats. We spend 3 sessions just on Atma. What I did with you, David Hume's thing, we do a lot more and we explain, but we're going to do this time. But in Bhagavad Gita, a whole section is on who we are. And there's characteristics of Atma, what it means and all that. Well, okay. It says that the soul is passing through different bodies. And when it comes here, remember, life by definition means something that's alive. Life cannot end. What ends is the body, and the life moves then next to the next body to activate it. If I were to ask you, is this body live or dead, what would you say? The answer is, it's actually dead. It is animated by something that is alive. Because as soon as that alive thing leaves, the same body is dead. So this is all happening because of the life source being in us, or life source that is there in the body. That is who we are. Okay. Generally we say, I am this body, I have a soul. That's a wrong statement. From a Vedic or yogic perspective, that's a wrong statement. The actual statement correctly is, I am the soul, I have this body. Fair enough? Of course, when you speak like this here and there, people will think something is wrong. Mom will say, come back home. Right? I'm just saying from a Vedic perspective. This is not how you go talk around. If you have that realization, great. But so Krishna says, as the body goes from boyhood to youth to old age, and after death into another body. Another question is, where do we come from? If we can ask where do we come from, then another question to ask is, where are we going? What were you going to say? Where are we going? Because it's a cycle, exactly. Now, where are we going is different from where are we supposed to go. Right? Because each person is going somewhere, and the Bhagavad Gita wants us to go somewhere else. So how to live a more purposeful life? Remember, I think it was here where we wrote, what is the purpose? And if the purpose is not clear, living a purposeful life is also not possible. So first, destination should be clear, then there is a journey. Many of us, unfortunately, are on a journey without knowing the destination. We are called, or we are very much like bags on a conveyor belt. We used to call it the conveyor belt lifestyle, the CBL model. It's going. If someone picks us up, great. Otherwise, we are unclaimed baggage. All right. So these are the values to live by for making it a purposeful life. Okay? To find that purpose, one has to live by these values. The first, I'm sorry for the font. This computer doesn't have that font, but I will read those words for you. First is called Samadarshana. Darshana means to see or vision. Samadarshana means equal vision. Right now our vision is very discriminative. Okay? We think of stereotypes. We think of black people in one way, white people in another way, Indian people in another way, among North Indians in one way, South Indians in another way, even among South Indians, Telugus in one way, Tamils in another way, even in Telugus, this one that way, that caste this way. We don't have Samadarshana, right? But what is Samadarshana based on? That we are all not this variety of body, but we are Atma. And that Atma is there in black people, white people, Asian people, Indian people, animals, birds, insects, trees. So now you see, when you see a Samadarshana, somehow this whole world looks a little different. Okay? And then Samadarshana allows us to live our life in a way that we don't cause unnecessary distress to other beings. Some distress happens anyway. We cannot stop it. But not voluntarily causing disturbance. So that's the first one. Second is called Ichha. Ichha is choice. Do we all have choices in all circumstances of life? How many say yes? Alright. Of the persons who say no, give me an example of a situation where you have no choice.
You failed in an exam and you have to give it again. You don't have any other choice to run away from there.
You failed in an exam, you don't have a choice. You can choose not to go.
You can drop out from the school.
You can drop her from the school. Karthik is the boss at it.
Drop the course.
I'm just kidding. You drop, see, he is giving you so many choices. Drop the course, pay someone to abduct the professor. I mean, not something I would recommend. It's a choice. You have a give us another example of a choice. Where you think, you said yes or no to choices? Okay, you said yes. Now, when I asked her like that, it seemed like she didn't have a choice but to say. You can say, I'm sorry, I don't want to. You always have a choice. So, we always have a choice. Okay? But there are two problems that we face on why we feel we don't have a choice. One is we don't know what the options are. We think, oh, I don't have an option, until someone tells you, you had an option here. Correct? So when we don't know, then we think we don't have a choice. Fair enough? And the second is, we don't know how to implement that choice. We may think, I have a choice, but we don't implement. We are unable to implement it. We are unable to go through with it. There's a third one if you want. We know the choice, we know how to implement it, but we are afraid of the consequences.
Only when we die, there is no choice.
Only when we are dead, there is no choice. But at that time, we are not meant to make a choice. Actually, the reason we are dead is because we made a choice before dying. So we get another consequence. There's another body. So choice is always there. Dead things don't have choice. Your table cannot choose whether to look at me or walk away from the room. Dead matter cannot choose. Only sentient, conscious entities can, right? So that's Ichha. The Bhagavad Gita talks about choice. Third one, Ahimsa. Himsa. That means violence or hurt. Ahimsa means without that. What are the types of himsa one can do upon others? Okay, first is mental and psychological are the same, but first is physical harm. Okay, another? Mental or verbal harm, very good. Emotional, we say, or mental, psychological, etc. In general, it's put into two categories, physical and mental. Of these two, which is more hurtful? Why?
Because violence, like you will do once and okay, the imprints might fade away eventually, but if you're mentally hurting someone, it might take maybe lifetime to get over it.
Excellent. This is what Krishna says. You're amazing. Krishna says you can shoot an arrow at someone and the wound that the arrow creates can be healed by medicine. But the arrow of harsh words that you release, one, it cannot be seen, but that hurts so much that you cannot heal from it. So we are all carrying weapons, correct? This weapon called the tongue, and it is getting arrows out like anything. I'll tell you a story of Hanuman. Once someone told Hanuman something, and he said, before you speak like that, you should consider your condition like the tongue in a mouth. Once the teeth and the tongue had an argument. The teeth said to the tongue, "You are one, we are 32. And you don't do anything useful for the body." In the sense, yeah, a person can taste the food, but they cannot get nutrition from it unless we work on masticating or chewing the food. And unless we chew, the body cannot digest it. So you're there just as a nuisance. Okay? So the tongue said, "Yes, I'm only one, you're 32. But if I speak something, all of you will be gone." You understand? That is the power of the tongue. So we release these very, very sharp arrows through our speech. The next is called Acharya, the need for a teacher, because none of this is possible without teacher. We're all here, I'm drawing a parallel, not that IIT teaches any of these things, but we're all in IIT to study, right? And we have to attend class. But we have a textbook, we really don't need to see the professor. Correct? We can read a textbook. But why do we go to class? If this were in India, none of the students, hum to jata nahi. But in America, you have attendance, that's mandatory. But even without the professor in class, at least we are reading a textbook. That means we are learning from someone. We don't just say, "I just decided to do medicine." Very good. Where are you learning from? "No, I just want to teach myself." And once you decided that you've learnt medicine, even if it is your own mother or brother who's very dear to you, say, "I would like to perform surgery because I've learnt it on my own," what will they tell you? Honestly, what will your mother tell you? Or father or dear relative? You're cuckoo. That's not how you learn unless you have a teacher. Right? So if just material things like engineering, science, automotive, everything we need a teacher, what to speak of spiritual science, right? And that's why it says Acharya. Now a teacher and Acharya are two different people. The word Acharya comes from Acharati iti, one who lives their life the way they are telling us to do. Many times in most teachers there is a discrepancy. They live one lifestyle and they tell us to follow another lifestyle. For example, even in our relatives will drink and smoke, but they will tell us no drinking and smoking. It's very harmful. Then the simple question we have to ask, then why are you doing it? Right? Or we are told, respect your elders, but they themselves may not be doing it. And if you ask the question, then they will say, you're very arrogant. So that is not Acharya. Okay, next one. Amanitva. Mana means arrogance or pride. So amanitva means humility. Without humility, one cannot learn any spiritual science. Actually, without humility, one cannot learn anything. So in the Vedic science, definition of humility in very simple terms is, I don't know and I want to know. So please help me. That is called humility. I already know everything. I want to see if you know. So more than me being honored to be the student, you should be honored to be my teacher. That is not humility. There were two roommates, and one roommate had a guitar and he would play the guitar. His second roommate one day came back and said, I found a guitar teacher. He's charging me $20 per lesson. Okay? So, he's very nice one. So the first roommate also went to that teacher and said to him, hey, my roommate is here. He wants to learn. I also want to learn from you. So the teacher said, oh, okay, do you know how to play the guitar? Oh yeah, I also have my guitar. I landed from India like Shah Rukh Khan. I know how to play the guitar. So the teacher said, all right, I'll teach you $40 per lesson. So he said, oh, hold on a minute. My roommate doesn't know any concept of music. He has never touched an instrument. For him, $20? I already know to play. For me, 40? The teacher said, yes. The first $20 is to help you unlearn what you know. And the second 20 is to teach you properly. That's the difference. Okay, that's amanitva, humility. And finally, priti or affection. Now this priti or affection is often misunderstood as this soft and warm and fuzzy love. Is not this priti for the object. Ultimately, one has to, in the self-realization path, one has to understand divinity clearly. Without affection for that, one cannot do any of those. For example, mundane example, you can be a patriot only if you have love for your country. Otherwise, how can you be a patriot? If you want to be a good physicist, you have to have love for physics. But this is not that kind of love though. Alright, so in a loose way we can say, in this case, love means you have to have some affection shown as eagerness to learn the subject matter, otherwise you're not going to learn. Right? So those are the six values. Clear? Questions? Comments? Thoughts? Objections? Alright, let's quickly go through. That's the Bhagavad Gita. Hey, right on time. So this is what we're going to do. Alright? You like this? Should we change course? Do something else? You want to hear something else? Any other topic in your mind? Then I can incorporate into it as we go along. So next week when we meet, we will begin with the first one on that list. What is that first one on the list? Samadarshana. Why it is important and how to develop this Samadarshana. So between now and next Friday, will you be open to conducting an experiment with me? Yes. Okay. As you walk after tonight, as you walk here and there, go through class, meet people, right? Catch yourself if you see someone and in your heart you make certain discrimination about them, either some stereotypes or something, okay? Or you see any living being, when you see you're in IIT, if you see a cockroach in your house, how do you respond? What do you see there? Most people are scared, right? But is there Atma in that cockroach? Absolutely. Okay, or an ant or a mouse and the chicken that you're eating. Was there an Atma in it? Yeah, absolutely. So pay attention, notice it, and if you like to share, I'd love to hear what thoughts you have. Okay? And if you forget it, then my case is even stronger, that this topic is so elusive. Although it's something spoken about, it's so easily forgetful. Okay, Karthik, sorry, you were good.
So, in one of the slides you said that there are 8 ways of practicing yoga.
Correct.
I know the answer for this question, but I want others to know. So what kind of yoga are you doing here?
We're doing yoga of talking. Yeah, so there are different yoga paths, okay, and different paths lead to different destinations. All roads don't go to Rome. First of all, that should be clear. Most people think doesn't matter, whatever road you take, you're anyway going to Rome. No, all roads don't lead to Rome. Each road has its own destination. Okay, so generally the word yoga by definition in Sanskrit means to connect, or that by which you connect. So technically the word yoga means a process. It's a pathway to go from some place to a destination. All right, now the destination is determined by the path you take. So when you say Jnana Yoga, for example, then that's the pathway to get knowledge or Jnana. But Jnana about what is also important, okay? Not everything is Jnana Yoga. Yoga only when it gives you anything connected to the absolute, to the divine, okay? Then it is called yoga. So for example, if you are doing engineering, it's not called engineering yoga. Let me make it clear. Okay, aerodynamic, not aerodynamic, what's that? Biochemistry yoga. That's not yoga. Okay, something it has to connect you to the divine. So there is Jnana Yoga. There is another path called Ashta Anga Yoga. 8 paths. But what do they want? They want the powers of the divine, to put it loosely. Okay, the perfections of the divine. So Ashta Anga is, you go through 8 stages. First is called Yama. Yama means all the regulations of what not to do in life. Do not, do not, do not, do nots. Right? When you're coming to America, I'm sure someone taught you or you heard about what you should not do in America. Right? Some words that you don't say in America. Right? I'm sure you're thinking that word, you don't say it. So that's called Yama. Then there is something called Niyama. Niyama means what you should do. You should drive on the right side of the road. That's a rule. A prohibition is you don't drive on the left side of the road. So Niyama and Niyama are always together. That's 2. Then is Asana. Mayurasana, whatever, the Tadasana, etc. Right? Those are important and they regulate the body. So that's Yama, Niyama, Asana. Then is called Pranayama. Pranayama is after you are able to regulate the body, you regulate your breathing. There is a reason why I'm not getting into it. Pranayama. Then is called Pratyahara. Pratyahara means you, not that you eat everything. Pratyahara means you withdraw the senses from their sensual engagements. That's Pratyahara. Dhyana. Dhyana means you train your mind to go in a particular direction. Then is Dharana. Dharana is not that you just make it oriented, but you are now concentrating your mind. And finally is called Samadhi. Generally we think Samadhi means dead and gone. That's not what Samadhi means. Samyak rupena dhiyate means their concentration is so perfect that anything will happen. Their mind is not moved from that object of meditation, even in difficulty, even in the most difficult circumstances. Correct? Those are the 8 sections of Ashtanga method. Then there is Bhakti Yoga. And Krishna covers 3 or 4 different yogas in the Bhagavad Gita, and then he gives his opinion on what he thinks is the easiest and the more joyful one to do. Okay?
There is supreme yoga of all this.
Yeah, coming. Supreme Yoga is also coming. As we cover this, it will show up when we go through specific verses. Yeah, the Supreme Yoga is Bhakti Yoga, and he'll show why. Any other question, comments?
I have many questions.
Okay, let's start one at a time.
Like we were talking about choices we make or something. We like a dead body doesn't have any choice. But I just wanted to know about soul. So what do the soul have choice? I mean, to choose a body out of me or something.
The soul cannot choose, I want this body or I want that body. But the soul can have a goal for a particular body. And for that goal, then one has to live and desire accordingly. For example, we want a muscular body, ripped. We can choose that?
Okay.
Yes, right? We can. And if you have that goal, can you transform your body into such a one?
Yes.
The body transforms. That is in this life. Similarly, one can choose the next body. Whatever that choice is. Hey, it would be great to be an elephant. If that choice, that desire is there, then life will move in such a way that that choice will be fulfilled in the next life.
Does it carry anything from one life to another?
Absolutely.
What?
They are called past impressions. We term it as karma. Not just from one life, but all previous lives, that impressions move along. And as we experience life, those impressions are done. But we can reinforce them again and again.
Why can't we recall?
Huh?
Why can't we recall this?
There is one reason that's explained why we cannot recall. Because certain experiences we don't want to recall. For example, let's say I was a cockroach in my previous life. So how did I live my life? I liked when the lights were turned off and no one was in the house and there was some stale food somewhere. And I would crawl into bathtub or toilet bowl or somewhere, and as soon as the light was turned off, I would run. That is how I lived. Now, if I recall it now, someone turns on the light, or there is stale food, all my friends find me in my bathroom all the time, crawling here, and you get the idea. That, for that mentality, that body suited. Now we have a different mentality. So we have a different body. However, that mentality actually carries over sometimes. But that in a way that it suits this body. So we may still be looking for stale food. We have a taste for stale food.
That is a transition where we had terrible life from good life. And it's a transition. Let's say we had a really good life and we are again into human only.
Correct. But vacation always ends, no?
That, all those.
Vacation ends. Actually, whenever we work very hard, we earn vacation time and we set money aside, then we go on a trip. How long does the trip last? As long as vacation time lasts and money lasts. Then where do you come back? To that wonderful office to start earning again. Correct? So why we come back to this life? To take or to accrue credits of karma. That's just how it works. When we do karma theory, we'll go through it, see how we've been moving around from one species to another, from one species to another, with the past still playing. We may forget it in the conscious mind. If you want to talk about mind, is it okay we take a couple of minutes and talk about this, although we've technically ended? In our mind, we have two areas. One is called the conscious, right? And then there is the subconscious. What is the proportion of this? Do you know? Roughly? Roughly. I don't have any psychological data to support it, but from my experience. So 1% conscious is who are you, what are you studying, are you hungry, what's going on. But on a day-to-day basis, every day when we are making choices and all of that, where are we acting from? Subconscious. We are never acting from here. For example, if I ask everyone, is it good to speak a lie? Where is that answer coming from? The conscious mind. When we are in a very difficult situation, the visa officer is looking at us and our fate is determined by the stamp of reject or accept. Do you sure you passed all your courses? It's that moment, as you call it, pregnant moment, where if you speak a truth or a lie will determine your fate. Possibly, not that we are like that, I'm not suggesting it, it is quite likely that what answer we give comes from here. Is it good to be angry? No. We all determine, from tomorrow I will not be angry. Right? But someone does something for us, or not so favorable for us. Where does anger immediately sprouts up? It's all stored here in the subconscious. So all our past, our experiences that we are not aware of is sitting in the subconscious. It's there. Thankfully, we don't remember them. Suppose you have had a very traumatic death. As a cockroach, someone stamped on me. I want to remember that? No. It's good to, some memory should go. But then it's not like selective. All memories are there in the subconscious. Just that we are not able to access them. Okay, we're going to end here. I'm here for a few more minutes. If you want to speak one-on-one or in small group, I don't want to delay dinner. Okay, thank you very much. We'll meet again next week. Thank you.